Hello, welcome back to MOD Thomas YouTube channel. Yeah, we're looking at macroeconomics, something in macroeconomics today, known as the ISLM model. Actually, this class has been recorded before. This exact class has been recorded before, but no insights and then just repackaging and rebranding. You feel me? Okay, so let's dive straight into it. The ISLM model. Actually, the model that is used to like explain a lot of things that are happening in the macroeconomy. So before a balance is restored, after there's been a shock from maybe the fiscal policy side or the monetary policy side. Okay, now let's look at this. So you are given a consumption function C equals 200 plus 0.25 YD, YD meaning disposable income. Now investment function is 150 plus 0.5 Y minus 1000 I. Then G is 250, T is 200, which is a lump sum tax. So how do you differentiate a lump sum tax from an income from a per income tax? Now this tax T equals 200, so no matter what you earn, you're paying a tax of 200. However, if it were to be an income a per income tax or an income tax, then that would mean that the tax would have been a function of your income. So something like T equals 0.1 Y, right? So you don't know what T is, the tax, you don't know what it is until you know what the income of the person is. So 0.1 multiplied by that income and give you the tax. So here, instead of a fixed tax, a lump sum tax, your income determines your tax for um, an income tax or a per income tax. So in that case, T would have been equal to small t and Y, where small t is the tax rate, with 10% of your income or 20% of your income. So then you're given real money demand M over P raised power D. It's not P raised power T, but a way some tests will note it. And why we call it real money demand? Because it is divided by the price level. So P is price level, not price. Right? So the function for that is 2y minus 8,000 I. Then real money supply is just 1,600, no function. Okay. So you have to find the first question is that we have to find the equilibrium level of I and Y. So how do we get that? Now, the thing is about the IS part of the ISLM model is talking about the goods market, and the LM part of the model is talking about the money market. So you are trying to like look for equilibrium um, between the goods market and the money market. So we're looking at the equilibrium interest rate and output level, in both markets. So for the goods, the IS, there's something called the IS relation. So in case I ask like find the IS relation. Now for the IS relation, right, where Y equals C being a function of disposable income YD. So like your disposable income is Y minus T plus your investment is a function of look at your investment, function of income level or output level and then the interest rate Y comma I. Then plus G is just autonomous. G is not a function of anything. For example, G equals to 50, a function of anything. So that's about your IS relation. And then for your LM relation, which is in the money market, so real money demand M over P D equals to your real money supply M over P S. And at the end of the day, your MS relation is just M over P, where Y is a function of the interest rate. So for the LM relation, like Y is it this was this is the like last line, Y being a function of of your interest rate. So M over P equals Y, and Y eventually is a function of your um interest rate. So I hope I'm phrasing that correctly. Anyways, so how do we now work with this? In the goods markets, well, yeah, I wanted to mention something. For the IS relation, you can say that there is no net export, there's no NX. So this is the IS relation in a closed economy, right? For those that are doing international economies, they will learn things about actually only model. To complicate this guy, you're going to add like the rest of the world plus NX and net export. And we will now begin to talk about your balance of payments, of course, because those are things that you deal with. That's it. The balance of payments is the record of the financial transactions between a country and other countries, right? So now acts like your balance of payments. It complicates the whole thing somehow, but if you understand, then you're good. So in the goods market, it's the goods market at equilibrium. And this is very, very important for you to write at equilibrium. Like you should write at equilibrium, please, because that's the only place where what we want to write is true. That's the only point. So that's equilibrium that your Y equals your aggregate expenditure. And what exactly is aggregate expenditure? Aggregate expenditure equals your C plus I plus G. There's no NX, so let's leave it that way. So then Y equals, what's the C function? 200 plus 0.25 y minus, this is yd, but yd is y minus t, right? Y minus tax. The tax has been given to be 200, I guess. It's 200. Then plus I don't just write I again, so I'll just write the whole thing. Plus 150 plus 0.25y minus 1000 I. Then plus g plus 250. So we bounce. Y equals 200 plus 150, 350, 350 plus 250, that's 600. 600 plus 0.25y minus this 1 over 4, right? Minus 50, then plus 0.25y again, minus 1000 I. So y equals 550 plus 0.5y minus 1000 I. Okay, so y minus 0.5y equals 550 minus 1000 I. So this is 0.5y equals 550 minus 1000 I. So y equals 1100 minus 2000 I. So this is what you call your IS relation for this particular question. Now, how do we find our LM relation? So LM relation, we are going into the money market. The money market at equilibrium, we know that M over PD equals M over PS. So what do we do with that information? Equilibrium. Okay, so we are going to be having 2y minus 8000 I equals 1600. 2y minus 8000 I equals 1600. So from here, 2y equals 1600 plus 8000 I, and then y equals 800 plus 4000 I. So you have to look for your LM relation. So just make y the subject. That's all. So this is your LM relation. So how do we get the values of I and whatever? So just substitute the LM relation into the IS relation. So substitute LM relation into IS relation. And so IS is y minus, so, and then y is equal to whatever here. So we are going to have 800 plus 4000 I equals 1100 minus 2000 I. All right, so 6000 I equals 300. So from here, I equals 0.05, that is 5%. So the interest rate to start with is 5%. Now, how do we get the value of our y? So we can substitute 5% into either the IS relation or the LM relation. We are going to get our answer. So let's even assume that I want to substitute inside this guy, so 0.05. So recall that y equals 1100 minus 2000 I. So y then equals 1100 minus 2000 into bracket 0.05. So 5 over 100. That's looking like this is meant to be a minus or a plus, please. Y 1100 minus. Let me see. Okay, it's correct. So y equals 1000. So which means that I comma y, like a summary, equals 5% comma 1000. So we've been able to solve for the values of I and y. So next question is that You should solve for the values of C and I, like the consumption and investment. For the second question, I told you that we have to find equilibrium consumption and equilibrium investment. So our answer I was 5% and Y was 1,000. So you have this guy C equals 200 or 0.25 1,000 minus 200. So C equals 200 or 0.25 into bracket 800. Definitely C is equal to like 400. If the values were millions, so I just set million, 400 million. Then for the second one, investment, I is 150 plus 0.25, Y equals 1,000 minus 1,000, this is 5%, so 0.05. So 150 plus 250 is 400, 450 minus 50 is 350. So I equals 350. So initially, as a summary, our C over Y equals to 400, 350. So for the LM relation, I don't know if I mentioned this. So LM relation is output, then function of interest rate. Output Y is outside and function of interest rate. So in case I didn't mention that the other time. So with that, we are done. Now the next question says, suppose that the money supply rises to 1,840. Solve for equilibrium Y, I, C, and I, and describe in words the effect of an expansionary monetary policy. So what that one is saying is that for C, suppose that the money supply, so M over P S now rises to 1,840. So we should solve for everything that we solved for before, I, Y, C, and then I. I. Oh, no problem. So you don't have to like go to the IS relation anymore because this is a change in the money market. So the LM relation of 1,000 minus 2,000 I that we got from our previous calculation, that IS relation is still standing, right? Because this change did not happen in the goods market. So the IS relation of Y equals 1,000 minus 2,000 I is still standing. What is going to be affected now is our LM relation. So we continue. Money market at equilibrium. So we know that M over P D equals M over P S. So in this case, because so M over P D 2Y minus 8,000 I is now going to be equal to 1,840. 1,840. Okay, so no problem. So 2Y equals 1,840 plus 8,000 I, and then Y equals 920 plus 4,000 I. 4,000 I. So this is going to be our new LM relation. So what we just do now is substitute the new LM relation in the I expression that did not change. All right. So and then when we're doing that, so substitute the new LM relation in the IS relation. So Y is now going to be this 920 plus 4,000 I is going to be equal to 1,100 minus 2,000 I. So yeah, 1,100. This is still 6,000 I. 6,000 I equals then 1,100 minus 920. Is that like a 280? Is it 280 or 380? It's even a 180. Okay, this is 180. Well, it's going to be 180 because we remove initially this wasn't 920, this was 800. So 120 difference. Okay, and if this scale was 300, don't worry, just don't worry about what I'm trying to do. So I here equals 0.03, that is 3%. So if I equals 3%, then we'll now go and solve for y. So I could decide to put, you know, I in the new LM relation. I could decide to put my I in the former IS relation. It's still going to be correct. Alright, so it's just simple simultaneous equation. So I want to choose the IS relation. Substitute I equals 3% in the IS relation. Okay, so when we do that, y equals 1100 minus 2000 into brackets 0.03. Okay, is that it? So and then we're going to be having 1040. So from our observation, right, we had okay, let's continue before I write everything that I need to write. So to get our C, so in this case now C will be equal to 2000 plus 0.25. Y is 1040 minus 200. C equals 2000 plus 0.25 into bracket 840. Then C rises to 410. Okay, that's going to be 210. 410. How about our investments? I equals 150 plus 0.25 1040 minus 1000 into bracket 3%, which is 0.03. I just need to write 3% for the sake of space. 150 plus 260 minus 30, and that's going to give us 380. 380. So if you want to compare, I initially was 5%. Now it is 1000. So I wanted to do like IC. I wanted to like put it on the table. Okay, like I. It's going to be long. Just be long. Anyways, I, Y, C, I1, Y1, C1, then investment, the first one, they were all equal to 5%. Then Y was 1000, C was 400, and I was 350. So the second case, I2, Y2, C2, investment, second level of investment, we have 3%, 1040, 410, 380. So if we were to like speak with this, the impact of the expansionary monetary policy was that it reduced the what do you call it? It reduced the interest rate from 5% to 3%. It increased output from 1000 to 1040. It increased consumption from 400 to 410, and it also increased what do you call it now? Investments from 350 to 380. So we have to like show these results, on a graph from our last lesson, right? An increase in money supply, like we already understood that an increase in money, because the whole thing was the real money supply that's increased. So we have this MS over P, the first one, then this was your MD over P, and then the initial interest rate was here. Then this is real money balance, not Y or whatever. And then when the real money supply increased, it's like here, so MS over P, let me just connect MS2 over P. Now interest rates reduced like I2, so it fell. So if we were to display this from the lesson that we've already learned on graphs of whatever, So if we were to displace this on the ISLM model, so you are going to be having, this is your LM, initial LM, then this is your initial IS. Then you have this equilibrium interest rate here, and then your equilibrium output here. So note that your equilibrium interest and output here, they are not the same as this interest rate here is not the same as the interest rate you have here. So it's just like the same way interest rate price is not necessarily equilibrium price. So it is as a particular situation that price will be equal to the equilibrium price, and that situation is where the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supply. So here the interest rate in this place is not interest rate in this place. You understand? So when you've introduced IS curve, right? So we are going to be getting something different. There's an interaction of two markets here compared to the first one. So when the money supply increase, we know that an increase in money supply from our previous understanding is going to shift the LM curve outward, shift it outward. So this we are going to have in an LM2. In case you have to depict your result on a graph, that's how I'm doing all of this. You should love graphs. I2, the I2 here is not the I2 here. This is an equilibrium interest rate, and then this is equilibrium output. So this increases, that decreases. So cool. Yeah. So what's then going to be all of our explanation? An increase in the real money supply causes an outward shift of the LM curve, which reduces the equilibrium interest rate, raises the equilibrium what? Output. And because when you come to the where do you have output? Which relation do you have output? You have output in IS relation. Where is it? Okay, I've erased it. Y equals C into bracket Y minus T, then plus G plus blah blah blah. Okay, you of course you do remember what that is all about. These things have been explained in previous classes. So I said Y equals C into bracket Y minus T plus interest rate investment, sorry, a function of interest rate and output, and plus G in a closed economy. So an increase in this output here from equilibrium from Y1 to Y2 will affect this because there's an element of Y here. Will affect this, so consumption is going to increase. Then you have Y and I here. I became lower, that stimulates investment. Output became higher, that also stimulates investment. So there will be increase in consumption, and then there's going to be what? Increase in investment. So you're sure that there's going to be an increase in investment. Okay, so now your assignment. Here's the assignment, which is a continuation of the question anyways. So now suppose that only government spending increases by 150. If you give the government spending increases by 150, and the real money supply remains 1600, that is the initial level of the real money supply. So solve for the equilibrium values of the four things that we look for: output, interest rates, equilibrium consumption, equilibrium investment. Then B, under which of both expansionary macroeconomic policies is investment certain to rise and why? So if you attended our previous lesson, you actually know what the answer is going to be. So yes, see you on our video again. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.